What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
How are ya?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm Will. Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Will. Nice to meet you.
So I'm going to hop off here actually pretty quick, but I just wanted to put a face to the name and take a moment to welcome you to Full Table and kind of take a moment to say hi. So Allie will be talking with you, as you know, and
Yeah.
I'm just going to be muted and hidden in the background, so don't even worry about me. But
Okay.
I'm excited to listen in and kind of hear what you guys explore. So thanks so much
Cool.
for taking the time.
Thanks, yeah.
I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me too, man.
Oh, without a doubt.
What's going on?
All you
Nothing
guys.
much.
Hey, pal. How are you?
Good. How you doing?
I'm doing really good. Chilling. We're
Good.
in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah. How's the weather out there?
What's that?
I said, how's the weather out there?
It's so hot. Yesterday was like
really?
90, super dry.
Yeah.
How's it going in
Yes.
San Francisco?
It's nice out here. It's warm. It's probably maybe 80 today.
Nice.
Yeah, so the weather's been decent, yeah.
Yeah, sweet. So welcome to Full Table. We're super stoked to have you and just to have a conversation about your life and about what you're doing. And I know you've got a couple projects going on, so we're really excited to hear about that. So if you wouldn't mind just giving me a quick intro about who you are and whatever you'd like to share.
Okay. Well, I'm Darrin Ballon. I'm from the Bay Area originally, born in San Francisco, raised in Oakland. I went to junior high, high school, and then went to Cal, so all in the East Bay. Mm-hmm. And at Cal, I was studying environmental design, and I got the opportunity to get into the hospitality business or industry, and I kind of jumped on it at the time. So my mom wasn't very excited at the time that I did so, but now she's okay after my career so far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was fortunate enough to get into the hospitality business in late 90s and started at Gary Danko. Was there for about 13 years, working various positions. And then I moved on to State Bird Provisions and Progress, which I also worked various positions as well, including management. And now currently I am at Comey CDP and also working on a restaurant project called Town Revival in Oakland, California.
Sweet.
So that's kind of it.
Yeah. Would you mind elaborating on that, like Town Revival and like how you got started with it and what it's all about?
So Town Revival, it's going to be a community-driven neighborhood restaurant using global techniques, local ingredients to provide nourishment and knowledge to the people of Oakland, to the Bay Area, and globally. It's 3 business partners, myself, John Cahill, and also Omi Lofalo, who are my 2 business partners and chefs. They have worked in the business about 40 years total, East Coast, the South, France, and now they've been in San Francisco for the last 10 years or so at various restaurants, and one of them is also a private chef as well. And we all kind of had an idea of opening up our own restaurants, basically 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I worked with one of my business partners, Omri, at Gary Danko back in the mid-2000s, and we kind of talked about doing something in the future then, but we kind of put it on the back burner because we kind of went our own separate path. And then John and Omri went to culinary school together at CIA in Hyde Park. Mm-hmm. So they planted the seed back then, so almost 20 years ago. Yeah, Hyde Park. So, over our careers, we've basically learned our skills. And then randomly, I ran into Omri at Whole Foods in downtown Oakland about three and a half years ago. And we kind of just sparked up talks again about doing this project. And so for basically the last 3 years, we've been kind of planning and putting everything together to open this our first restaurant.
Sweet.
And so hopefully we did get delayed with COVID. We had to rewrite our lease and add some clauses and some literature to kind of cover ourselves if this was going to happen again, which it probably will. So hopefully we sign our lease at the end of this month, and we hopefully will be open summer of 2021. But We shall see. Fingers crossed. Exactly.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So.
You were telling me about this other project. I don't know if it was associated with Time Revival or not, but you were talking about how you were trying to get people of color, people in the Black community to get together to help facilitate restaurants industry
it's mostly,
careers.
Yeah, it's kind of a training program for the hospitality industry and also the industries that support hospitality. Because you think restaurants, you think hotels, you think travel, but then also there's a lot of industries that also support hospitality, and also they support other industries as well. So you think like utilities, East Bay Mud, PG&E, city planning, architects, contractors, butchery, all kinds of different industries that help the hospitality industry stay afloat, but those jobs are not really accessible to people of color or people in the Black community, at least here in the Bay Area and in Oakland. So basically it was trying to use all the resources that I've gained over years and, networks and colleagues over the years that do have these jobs and these positions, and they want to give back to the community in a certain way. And obviously that's a little bit more prevalent now, just with what's going on in society. So I just been kind of reaching out to folks and seeing, testing the water and see what people were thinking. And I've got a really good amount of responses. Now it's a matter of just kind of formulating and figure out which direction we want to go. Because I talked to some people that were doing nonprofits and had already had some programs set up. And it seems as if the best way to go about it would be to help facilitate or bring everybody together than to try just do it by myself, especially trying to open up a restaurant and also having a full-time job as well. So yeah, it's in the infant stages, but we're going to make something happen. It's got to figure out exactly how to do it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You got your hands full.
Yeah, a little bit, I got a little time right now though, so it's all good.
Yeah, right? Time you never thought you'd ever have.
That's real.
So what's the, I haven't been in the Bay Area in like almost a month and a half. So what's the atmosphere there given the climate, socially? And I've been to I went to a protest in Denver a couple weeks ago, and it was really positive, and it was more so like a BLM like parade. It was really amazing. Yeah.
I mean, I would say the first couple days when the incident happened, or I guess the first incident happened, it was, I wouldn't say a little chaotic, but it was a little stressful because there was a lot of other elements that were kind of basically sabotaging what the purpose of the protests were about. And once all that kind of got weeded out, people actually started to see that, I mean, obviously it's a serious issue and it needs to be, taken care of, but it's not going to be done overnight. So I think people are really starting to figure out that this is, I mean, obviously Black folks have been saying this for years, but people are starting to listen now that this is a serious issue. And it's and honestly, it's not even just Black or white. It's about just the way the whole system is built up, so it's been pretty positive. There hasn't been any more violence or anything like that. I mean, the Bay Area is still boarded up. I will say that everywhere you go, because you never know. Something might spark up and it might get violent again, but most likely I don't think it will. But people have been pretty positive for the most part as I've been going out and about and checking out. I haven't protested as much, I'll be honest, because I did that in college and I really can't afford to go to jail right now, I'll be honest with you. But I'm using my mouth and my fingers, and just communicating and using my voice as much as possible.
Right.
That's why I kind of wanted to come on here as well too.
Yeah, and we're stoked to have you, seriously.
Well, thanks again.
So you've lived in the Bay Area for your entire life. How have you seen the Black community change, morph, and like how is the current climate like juxtaposed against your history in the Bay Area? Like, what's the difference? Are there any positive or negative changes? How has that been for you?
I mean, I would say there's both. I would say the negative is that gentrification has affected the Black community. I mean, not, minority communities in the Bay Area across the board, just with housing. I lived in San Francisco. I lived in Daly City for the first parts of my life. And, over there, it was black folks everywhere. Now you go to the same neighborhoods and there's no black folks. There's maybe some Asian folks, a lot of white folks, and maybe some Latinos. But, the areas in San Francisco that used to be like majority black are not black anymore. And even over here in Oakland, the demographics of Oakland have changed a lot. It's a lot more Latino and a lot more white folks compared to back when I was growing up in the late 90s or late 80s, I'm sorry, in the early 90s, where it was an even mix of black, white, Asian, and Latino. Now it's more, I would say, Latino, white, Asian, and then black. A lot of black folks have moved out of even like Deep East Oakland and moved out to like Vacaville, Fairfield, Stockton, because the housing is just crazy out here. I mean, that's also affecting a lot of things. Cultural-wise, community-wise, it's just the housing and where they're building housing. It's, they're building all these condos and all these luxury apartments and all these luxury items, but, they're not building anything for, market rate now is really luxury, let's be honest, but they're not bringing anything that's affordable. And affordable now used to be market rate, 10 years ago. So it's like the balance is not there at all. So I think one of the biggest parts is housing, but also the job market. We're in one of the I would say not the best because I hate that word, but we're in one of the better markets for hospitality in the world. And there's tons of jobs out there, but the makeup of the people that have these jobs is not the makeup of the Bay Area, as far as like race-wise, honestly, So
yeah,
some way, somehow we need to kind of bridge that gap. And the tools are here. It's just a matter of having the access to the tools and also having a foundation built in the community for people to prosper and, succeed.
Mm-hmm. Kind of getting back to the what is it called? Your project, the
training program.
You're working on?
Yeah.
Training program. Do you have a name for it yet, or is it just kind of?
Well, I do. I don't have it trademarked yet, but
yeah.
It's the.
You also don't have to share it.
What's that?
You also don't have to share it if you don't want to.
Yeah, I can share it because if somebody takes it, that's fine. I'll find them. It's called the Emergent Hospitality Incubation Program.
Ah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's kind of catchy, but it's pretty straightforward. And basically it kind of means what it says. We want to basically help people. Basically, give people the tools, give people access, and guide them in the right direction. Because coming out of, and obviously this would be more for young adults, so 18 and over. So coming out of high school, you're forced into going to college for whatever it is. I went to school for architecture, but obviously that's not what I wanted to do. I wanted to talk and be around people and be around food. But you don't know that at 18. Some people do. Most people don't. So it kind of helps people guide in the right direction. If they have a passion for food growing up, maybe they don't want to cook, but they want to be involved with food. It could be in media, it could be in real estate, it could be somewhere, where they can still have their hands in the food environment, but they don't necessarily have to prepare food.
Yeah. What's been the hardest part about starting that up? And like, how long have you been thinking about doing this for a long time, or is this just something that you came up with recently within like the COVID period?
No, we want to, the restaurant's going to be community driven. So we want to have some kind of programs or some things in place for the community to help the community thrive. So we had already thought about doing some things, but obviously this escalated a little bit more with the Black Lives Matter and everything going on in society now. So and obviously we have time now. So I've decided to put a little bit more focus into it and reach out and see what the barometer was for people thinking that they wanted to help out. And once I said it earlier, we've gotten a really good amount of feedback, positive feedback. So yeah, it's been planned.
Yeah, all right, cool. So what's been the hardest part about that training program? About like, I don't know, what's been the hardest part about it?
I would say how to set it up. I've never done nonprofits. Um,
Yeah.
you think it would be easy just to do something because you're not trying to make money, but it's not. You have to have some kind of structure. I was actually talking to a colleague of mine a couple of days ago about it. She helps run a nonprofit here in Oakland that works on minority rights and hospitality, and that's like the biggest thing is like creating the actual structure. You have to create curriculum. You have to figure out who's going to help, who's not going to help. You know, so right now I'm struggling with creating the actual structure and base of the program itself. So that's why we might be leaning towards working with somebody that has something already in place and setting up a program within their program. So we have like the infrastructure already there. Because for me to create the infrastructure right now, it'd probably take me, 6 to 12 months to create that. And unfortunately, I don't have that much time. I probably have about 2.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's where it's really important that you have those friends who know what to do.
Yeah. Luckily, I've worked hard in my career, made a lot of really good friends and colleagues, and and they respect me, so I can, if I need something, or if they need something from me, we can ask each other, and there's no problem. And we kind of know what we're doing, so it kind of helps out too. Yeah.
So, I'm kind of jumping around here, but
that's fine.
Trying to get as much information as I can out of here.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, as a person in the restaurant industry and being a Black man in the industry, how have you, what's been the biggest challenge within your career, and how has that kind of like morphed your decision making as you pursued, restaurants in general?
No, I was very fortunate to start at a place that was and is highly regarded. So in the restaurant game, your resume talks a lot. So if you have a really good resume, that'll kind of get you in the door. And then once you get in the door, it's a matter of whether you can do the job, honestly. If you're fit for the job, if you prove yourself, it's kind of easy that way. I won't call it black or white, but yeah, if you get yourself in the door with your resume, then you usually can stick on. But I also know other folks, Black folks, that didn't have the resume that I have, but had their work skill, the work ethic to also succeed, but didn't have the resume, so they weren't able to get the opportunity to get in the door. So I've been very fortunate at that angle. But working in restaurants, in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was myself. There's another gentleman by the name of Demis Royson, who was a server at Danko's for years. And then there was another gentleman by the name of Bob Moore, who also I worked with at Gary Danko. And it was just 3 of us for, honestly, probably about 10 years. Wow. And then you would go out and about and you'd see, you go out to the bar after work, whatever. You might see one other brother or sister or maybe 2, but it was, it's very scarce to see, especially in the Bay Area or in San Francisco, to see another Black person working in front of house. Luckily, I'm from Oakland, so if I needed to be around my people, I could just cross the bridge, go see my folks and all that. So that wasn't that much of an issue, but on a day-to-day life and just going to work, I had to kind of get used to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was an interesting perspective to talk to Candace Otis, who I'd interviewed previously. Just being a Black woman in the Progress, right? Yeah, she's a cook there. Yeah. And how she was the only Black woman who was also of color in the restaurant, an entire restaurant for most of the beginning of her career.
Yeah.
And that was pretty shocking.
Yep. It's still, honestly, even at, it's still the same way. You look at the restaurant, the makeup of restaurants in the Bay Area, it's still kind of the same thing. That's why we're trying to get this program off the ground. Growing up for me, working in a restaurant for my family, it was oh, it's not a real career and all this and that and this and that, whatever. It's you're not funneled into this industry because it's not a real career. But as we all know, It's a real career.
Yeah.
And you know,
It took a lot of time.
you can do it. You can do some really good things in this business. You know, if you put your head down and you make the right connections. You know, so you know, it's just giving you know, our people another opportunity to be successful. You know, being a lawyer is great, being a doctor is great, engineer is great, but some people, they don't necessarily want to do that. You know, they like being around food, they like talking, they like being around beverages. You know, so why not give them that access to those opportunities, especially in the Bay Area? You know.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I think those training programs don't necessarily exist, and there's like you said, there's so much going on in the industry that isn't serving food and making drinks and making food. That this is like such an incredible opportunity.
There's so many things that people don't even think of, like florists. You know, you have somebody that's doing your flowers every day, and that's a whole different career. And it doesn't have to be just restaurants. You can be a florist for anything. You know, so you know, there's a lot of opportunities out there. You know, that's for sure.
And you were mentioning that it was going to be for people 18 plus. Do you want to pursue like going to schools, like career fairs and stuff like that, and kind of just like
the idea is to get into career fairs. Some of the programs that we are going to reach out with, they are like young adults 16 to 18 and then 16 to 25 or so. So I'm going to try to get our foot in with those programs first and see where that kind of leads us. And then possibly that'll get people started at 16, 17, 18 years old, you know, because obviously, you know, if you get like an externship or, you know, a stage or whatever, you have to be a certain age. So we have to certainly follow all the rules and regulations for that. But I mean, I think 16 is a good age to start.
Yeah. I wonder if you could connect with like colleges in the area, like community colleges.
They're on my list. Laney College, DVC, Merritt College. Yeah, I got a list of about 10 colleges, City College of San Francisco. Actually, 10 culinary programs, mostly JCs in Northern California that we're going to try to get in contact with. Some of them I've already reached out to, and they said they would love to be a part of the program.
That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I'm stoked for you. This is great.
Yeah, you know, we gotta make a change. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep going in the same cycle. No, sorry.
You've used your Instagram a lot to promote, you know, just like good word and good information and news. And I don't know. I just think it's really important, and I really appreciate you giving as much information as you can out into like the interweb.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually not the person to post on Instagram as far as like, you know, political or, you know, rights or anything like that. But I decided this was my chance to do something, you know, instead of posting something about some squash I got at the market or whatever. We might as well talk about some social issues, you know, and push the narrative out there. And, you know, because a lot of people are misinformed, and that's what it really is about. It's like taking the time to actually do the research and see what truth is, you know, because we fed all these, you know, these misinformations over the years, but you got to take the time to actually see what's true, what's not true, you know. So I mean, if I come across something that I find that's intriguing, you know, or I find that somebody else needs to hear about, that's what I see. I'm just passing it along, you know. As you see, most of the stuff, it's not coming from my mouth. I may have wanted to say it, but you know, it's mostly stuff that needs to be heard by the masses, you know.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we have the platform of Instagram and Facebook and all these platforms that we should take advantage of, you know.
Yeah, definitely. So would you have any words of advice to all the kids that would potentially be a part of your training program, or people who want to enter the industry, or who want to just be a part of something larger? Do you have any advice or lessons you've learned?
Yeah, I mean, not even just this industry, just kind of in life in general. I would say always ask questions. You know, never, if somebody tells you something, I would I mean, it got me in trouble growing up, but I always questioned the authenticity of what people are saying, So I would say always ask questions, because you never know unless you ask. So I think that's the biggest thing. If you're getting yourself in a position that you get into a job or whatever, always work hard. People, whatever color, race, whatever you are, people always respect somebody that works hard. Communicating, with your friends, with your family. If you have a mentor, communicating with them, just communicating and making sure that your voice is heard. And then also giving people a chance. Don't not give someone a chance because of the way they look or what they've said. At least hear them out. At least they might have some truth to what they're saying, but always try to at least listen to what they're saying. And then I would say, listen. Always listen to people, because somebody's always telling something to you, whether you like it or not. And they might be asking for help in a different manner, but you always have to try to listen to people, that's for sure. And listen to your elders for sure, too. And that's one thing I know growing up I wasn't the best about, but now I realize that you do have to do it, because they have more knowledge than you. They've been on the earth longer than you. And I think that's the biggest thing. It's kind of, listen to your elders.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh man, I bet young Darrin was such a fucking rascal.
Oh, you
I'm
have
sure
no idea.
You did you wanted.
Yeah, I'm the only child. Well, my mom's only child. I have half brothers and sisters, so I would just run her. My auntie's crazy. Still kind of do, but now.
Yeah.
Darrin, I told Allie that I wouldn't chime back in, but I can't resist. Your training program is too interesting to me.
Yeah.
I'm really curious. Is part of that process, are you hoping to then give those individual placements within restaurants?
Yeah, that's another thing is job fairs. So
Cool.
Community basically link up to all these businesses and utility companies, whatever it is that they might have an idea that they want to work in, and then have job fairs maybe quarterly or something like that, where we bring in all these PG&E or East Bay Mud. We're bringing the chef from Single Thread or whatever it is, and they can have that conversation, they can have that connection, and then we will guide them through the whole process of interviewing and all that stuff. But yeah, it's all about access, honestly.
Yeah,
that's the key.
Really fascinating, because I know, I went to design school in Oregon, and that was the biggest challenge, was not the learning component, but the actually finding a job within that.
Yeah.
And so I can imagine within the restaurant industry, like you're saying, that the resume speaks so strongly for itself that
it does.
When you're coming into that industry, I know within the design world, they said, we're looking for an entry-level position with 5 years of experience, right? It's like, what do you mean?
What is that? It doesn't make any sense.
Exactly. So it's really cool to hear that the platform will take it from the education component all the way to placement. That's what I think. Really
Yeah. We want the placement because we want. Yeah, I mean, you can teach as much. You can have a PhD in whatever, but if you don't have access to the job, it doesn't matter. You can sit at home with your PhD. So it's a matter of finding the positions and finding the connections in the industries to make sure that they are successfully trained, and then they also are successful in the workforce as well.
Awesome. Sorry,
Wow.
I couldn't.
No, you're good.
Oh yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good.
Awesome. Yeah. Any final thoughts you might want to bring up?
I'm trying to think.
Darrin, I did have, I guess, one more question for you.
Yeah.
The importance of food in the Black community. So I was at a rally here in Jackson, which Jackson is potentially the least diverse town in America.
Mm-hmm.
And there was 3 Black community members that were leading the event. And one of them had this little humorous moment where he said, honestly, my first racist moment myself was when I was convinced that white people didn't know how to cook. It was, he was thinking, oh, like white people can't cook. And it was a pretty funny moment. And I would hear you talk to the importance that you've experienced with food for the Black community, but just on a greater picture as well. Like Candace was saying, that the best chefs she's ever worked with oftentimes have been like her grandmother or other members of the Black community. Yeah, I'm just really curious to your thoughts on that.
I mean, growing up, food in my family was big. You know, we would have, you know, grandma's house. Luckily, fortunately for me, everybody lived in the Bay Area. You know, I have 4 siblings, and then I also have probably right now at least 10 aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all my grandparents have passed away, but everybody's here in the Bay Area, you know, all within a 50-mile radius. So every Sunday it would be in grandma's house or aunt's house, uncle's house, food. It's always about food, because food is like, it's for one, it's nourishment, you know. And if you go back to the slave days, you know, the only thing they really had was their family and food. There was nothing else for them. So you would have all these big meals of the community, and it would bring everybody together. So food has always been about community, nourishment, you know, and just being together, you know. So it's always been a big thing in my household, and a lot of Black communities, a lot of Black households in the United States. It's just been about food, you know. It's like, granted, I wasn't the best cook growing up, but I was always next to my grandma when she was cooking, or I was always setting the table. I was always cleaning the table, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I never really worked in a restaurant, honestly, until I was 21. Okay. But I knew how to move around a restaurant and to be around people and how to serve already, because just growing up in a family that did that, you know. And we weren't serving like 4-course meals at grandma's house, but, you know, we had, you know, you set the table, you bring all the food out, you create it like it was a service, you know, and then you break everything down like a service. So it's, you know, I had all the skills ingrained just being with my family, you know. So it's certainly a big thing in the Black community is family and food, for sure.
Yeah.
And my, you know, luckily, fortunately for me, my family, they were all great cooks too, so that kind of helped out.
That always helps, right?
Yeah.
It always helps out.
So I'm assuming that you're going to definitely take those same, or at least my thought would be that you would take those same feelings of like hospitality and love and excitement and togetherness and putting it into the town revival kind of concept.
Oh, for sure.
Are you going to be doing some of the food that you grew up with at town revival?
You know,
too?
at the start, probably not. We're gonna try to feel out what, I mean, we have an idea what we're gonna do food wise, but we want to do like cultural Sundays, you know. So one of my business partners, he's Moroccan and Jewish. My other business partners is Polish American. So like on like Sundays, we would do, you know, we would do a tribute to Polish American food. We do a tribute to Moroccan food. We do a tribute to Southern African American food, that kind of thing, you know. So, and then of course we might run some specials, you know, run a catfish and po' boy special or something like that here and there, or you know. But yeah, there will be, you know, some kind of iterations of our cultural upbringings in the menu.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not to start, but certainly down the line. And then we also have some other concepts that will kind of perpetuate that as well, you know. Mm-hmm. That'll be smaller in size. The Town Revival concept is more of a grandioso style, big restaurant, but we also want some smaller, you know, cafe and hole in the walls type restaurants as well too that we haven't planned.
Oh, that's so cool.
Those would probably be a little bit more ethnic, a little bit more cultural based as well.
I'll be there.
Thank
Sign
you.
me up. I'm so down.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Darrin.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah. This was fun. I like doing this. At first I was like, I don't know about this. I've never done this before, but
I know when I called you, I was like,
put a microphone, I'm fine.
I'm like, he probably won't want to do this.
No, yeah, I don't mind.
I really want to pick your brain at some point.
Yeah.
The community component with food, because with our project of Full Table, the kind of standard flow that we've been doing is actually like a multi-person themed conversation. So we'd say hey, Darrin, we're talking about urban agriculture. Come join
Mhm.
us. And we usually had about 8 people. We're trying to make it a little bit more tight moving forwards, but that Allie and Graham have done an awesome job of playing through a theme for with that food and
Yeah.
the importance of, like we've been really stressing, I think we're going to stick with it, but the importance of having that food component. Otherwise, a conversation, it can lose its depth and grasp of that food component where you're all passing around a bowl or
Hmm.
each other
Yeah.
wine, right? And like, hey, who's doing the dishes? It really is that family experience that
Yep.
brings people together. And then when you sit down to talk, it's like, oh wow, like we're already flowing.
You're already flowing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's super cool. So yeah, I mean, I would love to circle back with you to kind of hear your thoughts on the full table model in general. But yeah, thank you again. Super fun talking with you and hearing about. We're getting to know you a little bit.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thanks again for having me on. And yeah, I put some thought into the full table concept as well. Because I mean, you think about it. You know, it's not even just all cultures kind of, you know, they're somewhat the same. You know, family, food, you know, community, being together. You know, it just obviously people are from different parts of the world. That's what it really comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a matter of the rest of society just realizing that's what it really is about. You know,
Yeah, and getting on board with it.
get on board with it. Yeah, it's like, come on, y'all. What year is this?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yes. We're
Let's
all just
go.
people. Food.
Yeah, it's like, come on.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much, Darrin.
Well, thanks
Yeah,
again
thank
for
you,
having
Darrin.
me
We'll
on,
talk to you
guys.
soon.
All right, we'll talk to y'all
We
soon.
can-
Have a good one.